I'm really happy that after the pandemic, we now have the CodeJams running again. Not sure if it's over the world, but at least in the Netherlands. And today, HANA Café Netherlands visits Innov8ion because the CodeJam is happening again in Netherlands on a specific topic. And Wim Snoep is going to talk about the topic in a minute. But for now, I want to say welcome to HANA Café the Netherlands.
HANA Café Nederland is een podcast met nieuws vanuit de SAP-wereld. In het café spreken de gasten en stamgasten over ontwikkelingen, innovaties, events of praten ze gewoon weer eventjes bij. Laten we snel naar binnen gaan.
So, we are at Innov8ion in Utrecht. Wim, thanks for inviting us over here.
No problem.
And so I just mentioned the CodeJam is running again. What CodeJam do you have planned today?
Actually, we have DJ Adams over here, who is hosting a CodeJam on a Cloud Application Program Model. Topic is service integration. So it's just one of the other Cloud Application Program Models CodeJams. Pretty fresh, pretty new. Just finished the content this week and happy to host it here in Innov8ion.
Really fresh content.
He just finished the content.
He just finished the content.
Specifically for Innov8ion.
Specifically for Innov8ion.
I made a mistake again.
It's a scoop.
No, it's not a scoop, but welcome Jan.
Oh, hey Twan. Lovely to be here as well.
Yeah, exactly. But it's really brand new content that DJ developed and today already shared with how many participants?
I think we have like 30 participants today. Yeah.
30, wow.
That's quite overwhelming, to be honest.
Yeah, I think everyone is really happy that they can come together again to share knowledge, to learn stuff. And
yeah, we really wanted to offer a community event again here. We did a CodeJam before. This is really nice to offer this for the community and to have so many participants showing up. We are also amazed.
So what do you think the reason is? Is because everyone is happy that there's the end of the pandemic and Corona doesn't exist anymore and stuff, or is it because of the topic? Or because of Innov8ion? Or because of you?
Because of me, obvious, no.
Or all of the above?
all of the above.
Yeah.
No, I think the real reason is that people really want to get together again and see each other, connect, like at the Inside Track, like at CodeJams, just to see each other like former tag ads, where you can just network and also learn.
Yeah.
And of course, DJ Adams is a great host for hosting these.
Professor Adams.
Professor Adams, definitely.
Yeah. So when was your last CodeJam, Wim?
My last CodeJam, I think it was like 2-3 years ago, before COVID. Yeah,
a really successful concept, the CodeJams. A lot of people are attracted to learn stuff, and now finally we can get the train running again. Cool.
Yeah, we spoke about it last week, right? You can do your developer tutorials online as well, if you like. You can follow the open SAP courses if you like. Yeah. But eventually, if you get stuck, then you're stuck. Right?
Yeah, nobody's running around to support you. Then.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the nice thing about this, that someone is running around you, an expert on the topic that can help you out and get you further.
Yeah. So we're going to ask some participants later because they're now still working on the tutorials above about their experience. But how did you come up with this idea on doing this CodeJam?
Yeah, I thought it would be nice to do something different, and we, of course, something different than we did previous time on Cloud Application Program Model. We are now working as well with it at the clients, but service integration is just a newer option, a newer topic we can also do with Application Program Model. We could have hosted also the command line interface
DJ's
option.
hobby.
DJ's hobby, definitely.
Yeah.
That's going to be in a few weeks in Germany, but we thought we do something different and we do something which is possible perfectly and mocking services and connecting actually to external data via Cloud Application Program Model. It's
So this is something specifically that you wanted to show. It's not like, okay, DJ, give me something that you don't have yet.
Oh, we just discussed on content and the options he had, and this was one of the options. So
cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
He was willing to make it for us.
Yeah, you mentioned also customers. So is it something that customers already request for or ask for?
Not specific on service integration, but they do definitely request developers, our developers as well as Innov8ion, to work with Cloud Application Program Model. Yes.
Yeah. So look at the participants. Is it all consultants? Is it a mix with also with customer participants?
It's a lot of consultants. I think most of it consultants. Some are working at the end customer, but most of it's developers developers in the community, even some people from Germany who just came here to
Really?
experience DJ Adams.
So it's like an international audience again. So it's like good old times, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah. I was really happy to see that. They just travel here for that reason, just to experience the CodeJam. And the way DJ is hosting it is quite nice. Each time we do an exercise and we have a short recap afterwards where we discuss on questions, discuss on the topic, everybody understanding the topic, and then we move forward. So just as a...
Nobody gets left behind.
No, nobody left behind, indeed. And
so unfortunately, I didn't see the first start of the presentation and stuff.
Were you late?
Yeah, I was having lunch somewhere with someone.
With someone.
Well, it was with you.
Oh, sorry.
Wah, wah, wah. So,
it was my, okay.
but unfortunately, I missed that. But I know that DJ is like famous for doing his presentations not in PowerPoint, but some other tools like Wim and that kind of stuff. Did he do that again?
Not so much this time. No, it was the command line option actually for the CodeJams. But yeah, he's now showing it in, I think he's using VS Code to actually show all the content. But we just sort of directly jumped into the GitHub repository, right? So yeah.
Cool. At least no
slides.
No amber blinkers and that kind of stuff on the screen, but at least some blinker and code and that sorts of things, right?
No,
Yeah.
It's what he's famous for, so...
Yeah, sure. And so maybe also for the people that are not familiar with CodeJam. So you started at 1:00. Can you briefly describe the agenda for the event for today?
Yeah, so basically in general, what CodeJam is just like 5-6 hours of content where you just mostly have hands-on work with the topic, experience what it is, low barrier, just dive in and learn, and short start with theory. But that's also what we did. Some short explanation, like 10-15 minutes, and then we just walked up, all with opening up your laptop, connected to the power, connected to the Wi-Fi, and go get to the GitHub to do the exercises.
Yeah. So really hands-on, not just PowerPoint slides, but really you learn how to use this specific topic.
Step by step, so everybody experiences and learns really what it means and why we do things.
Yeah, cool. I think it's time to ask some participants for some feedback.
HANA Café Nederland.
Welcome DJ, welcome Julian.
Thank you.
Welcome. And DJ, I just found out that Wim made you do a lot of work in the past 3 weeks. How come?
So I just finished a CodeJam in September, I think it was, on the BTP CLI and APIs. So Wim contacted me and said, could you do a CodeJam, in Utrecht? And I said, sure, yeah. Assuming that he meant the one I'd just given. So I said, yeah, no problem, let me know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then Wim very, very nicely said, no, we don't want that one. We want something with CAP. That's how it went, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, sort of, yeah.
Sort of, yeah. No, it was very nicely put. So I thought, well, I'd done a CAP CodeJam here before at Innov8ion. And so I wanted to do something different. And, obviously Wim had said, yeah, we've done the basics already, so let's do something different. So we'd started looking at TechEd 2022. Some of the CAP team, Christian, for example, had started talking about service integration with CAP, and I thought that's a really good subject. I got the opportunity in TechEd to help Christian out with his hands-on workshop in Las Vegas. So I thought this is brilliant. So I decided to write a new CodeJam, entirely new content. Thanks, Wim. 3 weeks later.
3 weeks.
3 weeks later, I turn up here, literally with the ink still drying on the paper. And it seemed to be okay, but I mean, I've learned an awful lot as well. I mean, I don't know who said the best way to learn is to teach something. And my goodness me, I know nothing anyway, right? But there's so much stuff that I found out about topics that I thought I had a rough idea of.
I always think that you know everything already.
I know nothing. I have no idea what I'm doing.
But I think it's an applause for DJ that he fixed it in 3 weeks' time, right?
Definitely.
Yeah,
It's really, really nice that he did this content, created the content so quick, and actually finished this week. And the content itself it's awesome. Really. Yeah.
Hopefully, it's not a one-time only, right?
Hopefully not. No, I mean the general idea. I mean, the great thing is that we're coming out of the pandemic, and things are not necessarily getting back to normal, but we have the chance to do more in-person events, and that's lots
great,
of people,
right?
including all of us around this table and everybody here, clearly has been missing.
Yeah.
And we, the developer advocates at SAP, are really keen to get out there. We want to do more CodeJams this year. I think, in fact, the last 2 news episodes, the SAP Developer News, we talked about CodeJams coming back. Go to the CodeJam group on the community.sap.com. And so this is great. So the fact that I've got to do a CodeJam here so early in the year is, it's great.
Yeah. So maybe for people that listening or watching, so the CodeJam concept, we talked a little bit about the CodeJam concept, but so is it, if you have an idea, or is it then there is a library of CodeJams that you can select from, or is it also like Wim? Hey, can you create a new one, please?
That was more of an exception because we'd sort of done the CAP topic here before, and because Wim is very persuasive.
Very persuasive. Thanks for that.
But no, we wanted to build our library of CodeJams up a little bit more, but not too much. So, the core topics like, data analytics and RAP and CAP, all the stuff that, people are clamoring for that we found over the past, year or two. Not just back to basics, but, the core, infrastructure type topics that, that's what people are interested in.
Yeah.
And so it was great to have the opportunity to create some content for 2023 and test it out on these guinea pigs here in.
Yeah. So, but that's the concept. So there is a library of CodeJams, and then there is an enthusiastic community guy like Wim, and he says, "Hey, let's come over to our company. We arranged the location, we arranged dinner and drinks." And the expert is coming from the developer advocates.
Yeah, it's a combination of a number of factors. So it's about networking. It's about face-to-face networking, and it's about learning together and getting to know each other around a certain topic. And it's a day, 6 hours, and wonderful folks like Wim and Innov8ion and other companies can organize those things. And say, hey, we'd like to run a CodeJam. We'd like it on this topic, please, having picked from this list. Yeah. Supply a bit of food. Heat, light, power, internet, and that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, and I really like the concept. So to bring the expert and to have the tutorial, to work on the tutorial, and then we can ask you about your experience. But also that it's open. So it's not an innovation event for only innovation, but you also open your office to other people, other colleagues.
No, it's definitely right. It's a community event, so we just set out the invite for everybody to see. Everybody can join. And we even have people, as I said earlier, we even have people from Germany, so people can just join in. And of course, we like to join as being innovation as well, but that's just a small chunk of it.
Yeah, cool that you are the front runners. That you invite the DJ again, and because the last time you just mentioned it was 2 years ago or something, or 3 years.
2019, yeah. 2019. A long time ago.
So how many CodeJams are planned, DJ?
Well, suddenly, Rich and Tom, a couple of colleagues of mine that I think you will know. Rich,
everybody knows them.
Tom Young, everyone knows them. Yeah. They're coming over to Europe and doing a CodeJam tour. I'm not sure. We were talking about the name. What should we call this? Roadshow tour. I don't know what we decided. But
SAP Rockstars on tour.
SAP Rockstars on tour. Exactly. Thank you very much. That's 10 points to me. Oh yes, that's the last 10 points I'll ever get. Yeah. So they're coming over and doing a lot of the ABAP and RAP topics. They got a tour of about, I'm just going to make this up, about 10 locations.
Cool.
In the UK and sort of Western Europe. And it's starting soon. I think they're over next month.
Okay. So then I have to bring the podcast show to them as well. Absolutely. That will be great.
But I mean, in terms of, for folks who want to know more, there's one place. Go to groups.community.sap.com, look for the CodeJam group, and all the discussions and information's in there.
Yeah, we'll link the URL in the show notes. Write it down. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the CodeJam of today.
HANA Café Nederland.
Julian, you started with the first step in the tutorial, and you also made it to the last step in the tutorials?
Yes, I made it through.
You made it through, and you're happy?
Yeah, very happy. This is my first live event.
Yeah.
I started at Innov8ion in 2020. That was in the middle of the COVID pandemic.
Oh, so this in the Zoom period, the
this
Teams
is the
period.
first live event.
Yeah.
I've only known DJ from the screen, but now I met him in real life.
He's a rock star.
He's a rock star.
Yeah. Okay, so let's dive into the content of today. Was it a topic that you are already familiar with, or was it new to you?
A little bit. Last year we hosted an innovation day about CAP. So I knew the basics, but this was really specific, this CodeJam. But you also got to know some really detailed stuff that you can generally use within CAP. So that's really nice.
Yeah. Okay. And so looking at the complexity, was it something that was really hard to follow to the end, or was it too easy? Or
well, it's really detailed described, so it was good to follow, even for someone with not that much experience in CAP. It was good to do. Yeah,
I really like the concept also, DJ, that you did a presentation, a report out, and you talked to, hey, we're going to do this exercise. You give a little bit of theory. Then you send everyone away. So please go and do the exercise. And then you asked everyone to come back to do a report out and explain a little bit more. And then people continued. So I think nobody got left behind. That's my experience when I looked around, but I walked around. But
yeah, I Julian. It'd be great to hear from you as well. But the general idea, just to explain that concept, I've attended sessions like this in the past and seen that I've fallen behind or I've gone too far ahead or something. And, there's less of a connection between the people, first of all. So if you're all doing the same exercise, then, you're more likely to connect and talk to each other about, what are you doing over there? And what's that? And this and that and the other. Oh, I found this out and so on. But also, at least the way I learn is that, my brain capacity is so small that I can do maybe 20 minutes and then I have to have a break, and then it all sort of, slowly seeps down and into the deep recesses of my mind, and I understand things a little bit better. And if I get a chance to talk about it as well, then that sort of helps cement the concepts that I've just covered in that last 20 minutes or so. So that's generally the thinking behind this flow.
And you also made sure that everyone was fine, because I think you are the first teacher or expert, as I can say like that. Hey, did you have a break already? Because it's important to have a break, and then you really took care of the well-being of all the participants. Yeah, and but also I love the enthusiasm that you have. You were standing like this, and you took everyone with you on your shoulder into the content of this CodeJam. And everybody was hanging on your lips. I'm not sure if that's really English saying, but in Dutch is hangen aan je lippen hangen. But do you know
that makes sense to me.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, some of these little anecdotes in between, right?
Yeah. So one of them I'd like to refer to is about the lazy developer.
Oh yeah.
What about the lazy developer?
So that was Julian actually. What we were talking about. Oh yeah, how to request the JSON format of an OData response, and one way was to use the query parameter dollar format, the system query option. Dollar format equals JSON. But that was to me the answer that I expected first, which was great, and it was a correct answer. But just as a little bit of a tease, I said that was a lazy option.
Yeah,
because it's such a much more beautiful way of requesting, the JSON format. Because in HTTP, which is an application protocol, there's already this concept called content negotiation built in. With you'll see the content type header, you'll see the accept header. Those two headers are part of this sort of dance that servers and clients make to say, what have you got? What would you like? I'd like this, but if you don't have this, then I'll have this. So that was the background. But the lazy developer, Larry Wall, who created Perl, one of the greatest programming languages in the world, fight me. He said that the three most important aspects of a great programmer are laziness, impatience, and hubris. And you can go to the C2 wiki to find out why. But essentially, a great programmer will build stuff to make their life easier.
Yeah. Instead of doing it again and again and again and again. Yeah.
Definition of a great hacker.
Yeah. Lazy developer. So we learned a lot about the actual topic, but also about being a lazy developer. Yeah. What I was wondering, so the content of today, you are the developer advocates. Is that also, do you have a link to actual customer projects? So is it something that you are actually the front runners and create stuff for developers, but is it also is it also customers requesting new functionality in the development world, or how does?
Not as specific as that. I mean, in general, yes. I mean, I think it's easiest to think of our audience, if I can call it that. The people we speak to are developers. Full stop.
Yeah.
Where those developers are is secondary. Whether they're internal or external, mostly it's external, although we would like to do more internal-facing sort of advocacy. More on that in a second. But, whether a developer is an independent or whether they work for a partner or, a consulting organization, a smaller consulting organization, or a customer or, any combination thereof, doesn't matter. If you're a developer, then, you are in our targets. You're the type of person that we want to make successful. That said, given that, a developer can be, in any organization, their feedback, developer feedback, comes through us and, back to the product teams. So indirectly, then, yes, of course, there is that flow inwards.
Yeah, because also I was... 2 weeks ago, we spoke to Ben Meijs, which is a familiar person in the Netherlands. He calls himself the SAP Dinosaur. He's doing SAP projects since in the R2 time. I think that's also when you started in the SAP world with the news groups and stuff. Community stuff, which is in the news group. But he also mentioned, I like to stay on top of the new content, to also understand what's coming in the SAP development world, to explain to customers what is coming. But then there is this paradox of there is new technology, new possibilities, and customers are not really aware of that. And then they are afraid of the new stuff, and they say, no, please use the old stuff because we understand that. Is that something that you recognize?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in fact, on a similar topic, Wim and I were talking in one of the breaks about, where might the CAP service integration facilities be used in contrast to, for example, API management. And just as there are newer ways to do things and older ways to do things that may be, considered legacy in some contexts, there are different ways to do essentially what's the same thing. And I don't think that's specific to SAP or the SAP technology ecosphere in general. And it is a challenge, but I think part of the solution to that challenge is what developers are at heart, and we are all at heart learners. That's what we do primarily. We're constantly learning.
You still keep on curious on what is possible.
Curiosity, I think, is one of the most important aspects of any developer, apart from laziness, hubris, and patience, of course, right? And that's not an answer, but it certainly keeps you sharp and informed as to making the right decision about whether to use this super new cutting edge technology or whether to use, the tried and tested, or sometimes maybe the safe but legacy, or anywhere on that spectrum going north to south, but east to west as well. Do we use API Business Hub and CAP or RAP, or do we use, for example, something more formal like, the API Management Suite, for example, Integration Suite.
Yeah, Wim, you are customer facing, you're a consultant, your daily work is at customer side. How do you deal, because I know you're also into the new stuff of SAP for a very long time already. So how do you deal with that? So you learn something new from DJ, for example. Now Monday you go to your customer and they say, hey, now I'm going to use this because I learned that during the CodeJam last Friday.
Would be nice if that would be the case, right? Starting directly on Monday with the new topics. But it's really, you should just consume all the content and really learn from the different topics and really try to understand how it works, and then you try to make up your mind from architecture view to seeing what would be the best fit for your customer, and that differs. We just had a chat about it. It's really, there's no one answer to that. You're really learning by seeing all these topics, like today. You really get kind of a detailed picture what it can do, what it cannot do, and how it works, or how developer oriented it is, or maybe not. So
you take it under your arm, you go to the customer and you explain what you have learned, and then see if there is a use case now or in the future that you can use it, adapt it, adopt it.
I think there's a horizon of breadth and depth of knowledge, right? So, I mean, I'm going to tell you this anecdote. It's suddenly come to me. I was working for a large, Big Six consulting organization in the 90s. And there's centers out here, there, and everywhere. And I had to go to this client in Strasbourg, and they had this big problem that they'd been working on for, the partner organization I was working for had been working on this for like weeks. And then, DJ, you've got to go and solve the problem, whatever. Okay, yeah, great, no pressure. I think it was in an old Byte magazine article that I read on the plane out there, not for any particular reason, I was just interested in it. I read about lazy loading of a UI list. Well, that's interesting. I had no idea what the problem was. Got to the thing. The problem was clearly solvable with lazy loading.
Yeah.
So I solved the problem on that day, saying, oh, I've just learned about this thing, right? So you never know when something you've just read about that has no relation whatsoever to anything you've experienced in the past, you never know when that's going to come in handy. And so events like this, even if you don't go to the customer tomorrow and say, hey, service integration, let's go.
Yeah.
It's there in the back of your mind. And having been a consultant for decades, I know what it's like to have that, that supply of context and experience to call on when, you get involved in a project and say, and hear, hey, we're going to do this. We want to attempt that. And you think, tell you what's going to be helpful here. Something I've got in my bag I'm going to pull out. Nobody's ever heard of before, or, we've heard of it, but we don't know about it. That's where the richness and value of these sorts of events come from. Beyond the networking, which is almost like the number one part of this sort of event, but just stash this knowledge in your pocket.
In your backpack, and you take it out when you need it. Yeah, it's so it's the open mind. So it's also by curiosity and all the other things that of being lazy, but also to be open-minded, to absorb as much knowledge as you can and take it out when you need it. Yeah. I think that's key for being a good developer. Yeah. Back to the CodeJam from today about service integration. What was the hardest part, Julian?
Well, that's a good question. I think setting up the container and get it running, because for some reason it didn't work for me. But that was the hardest part, because everything was really good to do. Just take your time, listen to DJ and read what the content says in the GitHub repo, and everybody can follow it, every developer.
Yeah, but that's the nice thing for the CodeJam concept again. So you have the GitHub repository, and you have all the stuff that you need, and there's the hand-to-hand, step-by-step tutorial that you can follow. And then you run into some kind of problem. And then it's the good thing that you run around at the show floor, and you can ask a question. Hey, DJ, can you help me out? Because a lot of times when I went to TechEd and you come home and you try to do something, and then you got stuck in some point and you don't know how to get out of this issue. Yeah. I think that really from CodeJams.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and also not only do you have the instructor there at a CodeJam, but you have your desk neighbours who are
your
probably
peers.
coming against your peers, hitting the same problems or scratching their head on the same. I never thought about it that way. I wonder what happens if I do X or Y or Z. And again, that's the benefit of an event like this, a layout like this with, nice relaxed desks and chairs and tables and whatever and coffee. It makes for a really comfortable, environment of discovery. A phrase I've just randomly made up, but it is all about sort of, learning in a comfortable way and in a safe, I don't mean safe in any sort of, politically correct way, but in a relaxed environment where there's no pressure to, get things right.
Yeah. There's no right or wrong, just discussing stuff.
I'm glad you brought that up, Julian, because one of the things that I really enjoy as the instructor is the end of exercise wrap up and discussion, because everybody's got so many different ideas and questions, and they've approached the content a little bit differently to what I've expected, which is great. So I learn stuff, but also people learn from each other's questions and discussions. So, that's something I really look forward to.
That's really different than doing it at your home desk, right? Just going through the exercise and then you cannot discuss with your peers or have this chat afterwards. And this is really a great way to learn, actually.
But don't get me wrong. So I really like the concept of the open SAP trainings that you can follow in your own pace and your own time, which is great. But having the instructor on site is even better. Yeah, definitely. So what question are you going to ask DJ next, Wim?
I still have to make up my mind on that one. Definitely there will be one.
Maybe if you inform DJ right now, then he has a little bit more time than 3 weeks to finish the code.
I give you 4.
You've used up your question quota for 2023.
So in 3 years' time, you can ask a question again.
Okay.
No, hopefully not. And DJ, what's your next stop?
Next stop, CodeJam-wise, is Heilbronn. in Germany, where I'm going to be running the BTP CLI and APIs CodeJam, which is the one that I thought I was going to run here.
Yeah.
And there, actually, one of my colleagues, Kevin, is going to be attending as well and helping me out. And also, we have an intern, Dina. She's going to be coming along as well because, like I say, we're ramping up the CodeJam initiative and the events this year. So, Heilbronn at the end of this month. Then I'm away for a few weeks. Then there's lots coming up.
But it's moving around, it's buzzing again, which is really great. It's really great.
Yeah.
Well, besides the fact that you are running the Developers Network TV, or how it's called exactly, but you're bringing the content to everyone. But I think, again, as already said and discussed, being on site is an even better experience.
It is for all of us.
Yeah. Julian, your next steps after learning the CodeJam today?
I hope to incorporate it in some hobby projects. Just get to know it so that I'm comfortable with it and I can use it when I need to use it.
Yeah, but that's also a nice thing. Eh? So you learn something and then you take it home and then you try something else and try to create your own use case. Then you learn stuff, then you run into errors, then you run into issues, and then you understand it, you really understand it, and then you can bring it to your customer. Okay, look what I've created. This is what you can do, as well as using the common solutions. But now we have a new solution. Hopefully you can do it faster and better.
Yeah.
Actually, the word errors, that triggered me. One of the things that I do like to include in the CodeJam content is to make people trip up, to make people hit errors. And because... Yeah, and hear that sound as well. That was a bit random. You didn't warn us about that sound.
No, sorry. But I always annoy Jan with it.
But in my past, I learn most when I'm not under pressure, but also when I hit errors. It's like, why is that happening? And rather than rebooting, Control-Delete, or with the equivalent of whatever I'm doing, you get to take some time to think about what's happened. Why has that happened? Take some steps back, go forward a different way, and eventually solve the problem. And you learn so much from hitting errors and solving them. Yeah. So that's why I built in, errors in this CodeJam and some of the exercises to make you stop and think, what does that mean? And force you almost like to read every word of the error. Because a lot of the time, the clue is in the error, believe it or not.
Yeah, that's great, because I saw it also in the repo data. So you asked the audience, why do we have an error? Because most of the tutorials are, if you follow the steps, then you start with 1 and you end at 10 and everything works. But there is no error. You just, between brackets, you are the monkey following the steps, and then, hooray, you made it to the end, but you didn't think about what you just did. And that's with an error. You introduce that to think about what you are doing.
You're learning the least from the happy flow.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
That's really nice. Yeah. Nicely put. Yeah.
I think we're learning the least from the happy flow. That's one nice statement to close off this episode of HANA Café the Netherlands. Thank you very much, DJ. Thank you, Wim, for inviting us for the CodeJam and inviting DJ back to the Netherlands again. Thanks, Julian, for your experience of your CodeJam experience today. Thank you for everyone for listening or watching to today's HANA Café, and see you next time.
Dankjewel voor het luisteren naar deze aflevering van HANA Café Nederland. Heb je feedback voor ons? Laat het dan zeker weten. Wil je ook een keer aanschuiven in het café? Stuur ons een berichtje en geef gelijk aan waar je het over wilt hebben. Tot de volgende keer.
Sorry DJ, it was in Dutch.
That's cool.
See you next time.
Bye.